right, good evening.
How do you get everybody?
Welcome to the June 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Norwood Trails Advisory Committee. It's a beautiful day here in Norwood. Second day of summer, I believe. We're meeting tonight. Our session tonight is being recorded on Norwood Community Media. Thank you, NCM. We do have from Town Hall, Sandy Moore is assisting. Thank you, Sandy. The meeting will be taped and archived on NCM, but minutes will also be taken. And those minutes will be available once approved on the town website. All of our meeting agendas and minutes and maps are available at norwoodma.gov, or you can just search for Norwood Trails Committee. Thanks for coming. By way of a roll call to order, after I say your name, I'm going to start in the top right corner. After I say your name, if you could just give me an aye, please. Craig Austin.
Aye.
Sue Bartlett.
Aye.
Marsh Shimada.
Aye.
Thank you. Lee Leach.
Hi, and I believe I'm identified as caller 01.
You are. Thank you. Vic Babel.
Aye.
Aye. We also have an HP, which I'm not sure if that's Brian. Maybe not. But we have reached a quorum, and we're ready to rock and roll. We've got a good agenda tonight. We are trying to use, with the help of NCM and the Town Hall IS department, we're trying to keep things rolling. We're trying to continue our progress with the Trails Committee. Everything is leafed out, and the trails are flush these days. So I will ask, Lee had distributed minutes from our February meetings. This is the first time that we've really been able to take a look at those meeting minutes. If anyone has looked at them, I'll entertain a motion to accept them or amend them as needed. Anyone?
I will motion to accept them. This is Marcia.
Second
Okay.
it.
Thanks, Marcia. Seconded by Vic. Thank you. Any comment or questions on the minutes? We'll just take a vote on one at a time, but I'll accept your motion and minutes for both. All those in favor of accepting the February 11th meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. February 25th, at that meeting, we had a representative from the Ponset River Watershed join us. All those in favor of acceptance of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, great. Anyone opposed? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. We are rocking and rolling. Let's see, trail reports. Marcia, you had submitted a couple of trail reports. Do you want to briefly just bring us all up to speed on what you've done?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I have a mask on. I'm currently giving platelets, so I am a little bit muffled. I believe, Joe, if I recall, we were talking about Shattuck, and then over by off. I don't know what we call the one over behind Ellis.
Yep. Ellis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So I hadn't been there in a while, and then I was walking a couple dogs there the other day, and it was very overgrown, but it was still as beautiful as ever. The green. It was very green, very, very fresh, but it was very overgrown, and there was a couple trees down. So they haven't recently gone in and done any mowing like they did last year, the big center mow. So they hadn't done that. I mentioned it to Joe because it's very difficult to walk in it now. for many reasons. You can't really see the sticks and the roots and the water. And then it was at the very end, I couldn't even get to the river like I have before. So that one was that one. And then over at Shattuck, it was great as usual. I just found another little section with some new glass that I sent a picture to Joe. It was from the side that was near Nichols Street, and there was some glass. I picked up what I could, but unfortunately a lot of it was really dug into the ground. But again, beautiful, all good.
And Marcia, what was the first hike that you took?
It was the one over behind Ellis. So I don't know what you call it. What's
It's
on, is it?
Ellis Field down by Codman Road.
Yeah, I go through the field, not through the baseball field, but the other one.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to the river that I usually go all the way to the river. Couldn't get there. It's too much stuff in the way.
Yep. That's where Planting Field Brook comes down all the way it starts at the Forbes Mansion and comes down the hill, and it eventually goes underneath Route 1 and catches up with the Neponset. And there's actually a tree down in the brook. So Masha, I've taken all your photos. Thank you very much. And I've sent them over to the DPW.
Okay.
And just ask them if they could give us a hand with that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise with the glass on the Shattuck. I took one of the maps that we had put together, and I actually circled the section where you sent the pictures. So
Okay.
hopefully we can get that cleaned up as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, and then when we get to the rotation here, we'll talk about other walks that anyone else has done. Masha had sent me those trail reports, so we always want to jump on those early. Just a quick update on the trail marking and construction. We have submitted an order through the DPW and the planning department for lumber for us to have a construction party, basically, hopefully by the middle of July, at which time we'll be able to build some kiosks and bog bridges to help us get through some wet spots. We also had enough in our budget for FY20. We have gone out and bought two benches to be siting to be designated soon. These are benches that you've seen close to like Hawes Pond and those general areas, but they're pretty sturdy. They are the same type, not exactly, but they're the same type as both the rec department and the Concom have purchased. So Mark Ryan and the DPW have offered in both cases to help us out. They told us once we get those benches, once we identify where those benches will be, the DPW would come in and build a cement foundation for us to install those. So as soon as we get those and try to spec out where those will be, then we'll put together a plan. That's probably will be a July event, and we'll make sure that that's publicized. Let's see. Anybody else? At this point, let's excuse me. At this point, let's jump in and talk about this. At our last meeting, we said that we would schedule a walk on Meadow Street. Vic, you might have been the last one on there. Do you want to tell us what people will see when they're on Meadow?
Oh yeah, I was just wondering, how do you know that? I posted some pictures. Well, when you go down Meadow, one thing that bothered me, right when you first go in, on either side there's all leaves and Christmas tree and the grass clippings, and for about 50 feet. Obviously, the neighborhood, that's a dumping ground for the neighborhood, which, you know, they're not supposed to do, but they do. And I went to the left trail, which is only a quarter of a mile, and that was fine. It was mowed, and I don't know what the town's doing, but right where you take the left or the right, they moved some dirt around, and I'm not sure what they try to do there. But anyway, the trail is clear, it's mowed, and it's, like I said, only probably a quarter of a mile, and then you come back. The one that I like on the right, on the other hand, I love the town to be able to mow it, because the grass is getting pretty high there, and there, I know why they did the left and not the right, because there's a lot of wet area there, but it's all dried up now naturally. So it'd be nice if they could send in a mower to knock down the grass that's growing in the past now. If you're gonna do that trail, you need to have long pants because tick, threat. And then when you get to the end of the main trail and take the left to go to the river, the Neponset River, that's starting to get overgrown, but not quite as bad. I would wondering if I could bring my battery-powered weed whacker on that smaller trail and maybe even the larger trail, at least, open it up a little bit more. But I don't know if that's allowed, but I'd be willing to do that. And once you get to the river, it's, nice down there. I was surprised the river is totally brown right now. But I didn't go too far down because, a lot of roots and everything. And I was with someone I didn't want to have her hurt herself. So, but we came back. I mean, it can be done, but it's certainly not how it is in the winter where it's very low to the ground and very open and everything. It's starting to grass up.
Okay. So do you think I guess I'll ask you the easy question. Do you think we should go there?
We could do there, but I would recommend everybody wear long pants. I mean, when I'm saying the grass, it's not 6 feet high. It's maybe a foot high in places. It's still very pretty.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I know there has been a lot of interest in that area because it's been a conservation property for a very long time, and it gets very little usage. And as a result, the trails there are deer trails, but that's about it. It's in that area, maybe more so than any other area. There's very little parking available, and it's definitely right in the middle of a neighborhood. So we obviously want to respect the neighborhood, as a partner, I guess, with the property. I have spoken to Steve Washburn, the Conservation Commission, and I've spoken several times to Al Getz about the property, and with the exception of that access issue, the property itself it's beautiful. You've been on there a number of times, right, Vic?
Yes, I have. I love that trail.
Okay.
I wouldn't go all the way to the airport now because of the tick. I'd be afraid of tick because as you go further on a mile in, it becomes fairly high grass.
Okay. And Lee, you've been there as well?
Oh, one.
Lee. Think that would be Lee Leach? Lee is raising his hand. Okay. Well, let me speak for Lee until he does for himself, and just say that Lee and I and Ernie might know a little bit about it as well. But we have been there on several occasions. So I did briefly talk to Ernie last night, and I think, Vic, we've tentatively had talked about this before, but theoretically or tentatively what we were talking about is trying to meet at the Prescott School, which is basically just across Neponset Street from the top of Meadow. and in a way to kind of minimize the parking going on down at the trailhead. And so meeting there at 3 or before 3, and then just walking down Meadow Street to the trail. Maybe spend an hour and a half ish. If we, Vic, if your description, if we're not able to spend too much time or go too far into the trail, it's probably the case that maybe an hour and a half should do it.
Yeah.
You think that we could get a good lay of the land with that period of time?
Oh, sure.
All right. As you say, we do want people to take adequate precautions. I haven't seen the weather, but if it's anything like today, bring water, bring long pants, as you say, long sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee, do you have any suggestions on that?
No, that sounds good. I think that, the fact that it is a high risk for ticks, especially with all that overgrowth. And, Vic, if you happen to get out there to weed whack, just be mindful that I'm not sure how that's setting with, I suppose if we had the okay from the chairman of the Concom, because that is Concom property, just make sure
Yes,
you hear that, okay?
and I wouldn't want to do it without approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have had discussion. I have had discussions. I think a couple of us have with. Actually, I remember Ernie and I had a conversation with Al Getz. This is probably 6 months ago or so. Time flies at this time of year. As far as being authorized to no heavy lifting, but to be able to do that. But we'll certainly, time has passed, so I'll send an email to Steve and just ask his permission again, just to make sure that we're in good graces. That property, so as you walk in from Meadow Street, the area directly ahead is Concom property. The area to the right and to the left it might still be Concom property, but there is a DPW sewer easement there. So that would certainly be something that we'd want to make sure that, we're in good hands and good, before we do anything, we'd want to make sure we have permission from all parties involved.
Yeah, I mean, for our walk, if everybody's aware that we wear long pants, and this is a community walk, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I just want to make sure they're aware that the tick problem at this time of the year.
Yep. Okay, good comment. So we'll meet at 3 at the Prescott, and then we'll just walk over from there. We'll walk up. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of that short dead end street that comes up from the Prescott to the Neponset Street. But we'll just be walking up there, and we could post either an email address or a phone number when we post it. Vic, would you mind posting that on the Facebook pages?
Okay, the Know It Now or the Facebook Know It Now?
Know It Now, and there's another one, Celebrate Know It. Are you on that one?
No.
Okay, why don't you do Know It Now, and I'll do the other one, the Celebrate one.
Okay, so that's 3:00 on. Is that Saturday?
Sunday
Sunday.
Sunday the 28th, June 28th at 3 p.m.
That's this
So
Sunday.
the name of that street is Cherrywood Drive.
Yep, thank you. Thanks. So park at the Prescott, come up Cherrywood, very carefully cross the street, and go down Meadow Street. I think there is a set of lights and a crosswalk there.
Yeah, there is, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Anybody think of anything else that we need to organize? I will. I think I'd mentioned Brian's on the phone here, but I will send an email to Sarah at NCM and see if they want to participate in any way. Open to the public. We do ask people, obviously, to take precautions and come prepared. The buddy system is good. That's great. That'd be a good one. You mentioned tick control, Vic and Lee. I was out on Sunday afternoon, and at the end of the walk, I did my self tick check, and I did pull 3 ticks off my leg.
Oh my! Was that at the landfill?
That was at the landfill. So
Wow.
Wow. Wearing masks, Joe?
I'm sorry.
This is Marguerite. I finally managed to connect by the phone. Yes, wearing masks for this hike.
Yep. Good point. Welcome, Marguerite. Good point. Yes.
Hi, thanks.
Yes, masks. If we can spread out the walk at all, then we'll consider taking masks off, but at least for the time being, then masks are required. Good point. When you walk slow, you don't really think of that kind of thing, but hopefully we will get some neighborhood and community participation. So the more the merrier. Water, long pants, tick control, bug spray. There might be 1 or 2 mosquitoes over there. 3 o'clock at the Prescott School. Great. All right. I did. So that's our future recommendation. So we've got that walk planned. We mentioned a July community construction event. We'll define that as we get closer, and obviously we'll do it under the guidance of some safety officer. But that's another event that's coming up in the month of July. Lee, I think you had mentioned the possibility of a library similar to the Norwood 101 event. Okay, we'll circle back to Lee. Why don't we?
I just stepped away for a minute, Joe, so you can
Okay.
circle.
Yep, sorry.
Got 2 strikes against you. We caught you twice.
So Lee, you had mentioned the possibility of a Norwood 101 library event.
Yeah, I haven't really worked that much on it just yet, so that's in the process. We'll get something going on in the next month or so.
Okay,
But,
great.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we let's go around the room here, and if we'll go through a member's minute. I do have one comment after that, but let's start. Let's go alphabetically here if we can. Just basically places you've been, places you want to go, thoughts for the group, and what you want to accomplish next. Craig, let's put you on the spot first.
Oh, so much. We do, Patty and I do a lot of daily walks. So we've actually been able to walk to parts of the town. We're near the center of the town. So we can walk about as an equal time to, for instance, Shattuck Park. We went to Endine. That's a little longer, but Endine. And we actually walked all the way to the Ellis Field to the north of town that you talked about earlier. So we used them as kind of places to go to, and they're great walks.
Okay, great.
They're still, I do owe you some reports for that. The worst I've seen is in my back area. Hennessy Woods has some glass in the usual spots, plus a little bit. If you're at the boulder, an area off to the right has a little, not quite a camp area this time, but there's an old tub that I think people use to sit on, and we've heard fireworks in the last week or two. So there's some litter, some cans, bottles, munchies that we've been seeing. So I'll send those pictures.
Okay, all right, great. And you said tub. T is in Tom, UB.
Yep.
Okay.
Some kind of sink or tub. It's rectangular. You know, like I said, I think they use it to sit on.
Okay. If anyone is missing a tub, we know where to go.
They don't put ice beer in there?
Not that I see.
Just have to get there quicker.
Is it
That's all.
upside down or right side up?
Yeah.
Sideways.
All right, great. Good. Thanks, Craig. Our best to Patty too. She's a one of our active members as well. So thank you. Thanks.
All right, I'll pass it on. I'm outside. She is still in.
Okay. Let's see, Vic.
Well, I saw you guys, you and your wife, a couple of weeks ago by the Congregational Church. I'm saying, what are you doing in my territory? And you were saying that you walk all around, and so I can vouch for that you were in my territory. But I've been doing a bunch of biking and traveling outside of the town as much as I can. Other than, the Shattuck Park and the trail that we're going on next, this weekend. I haven't gone up the landfill because of the tick problem. I'm a little nervous on that. I have done to Father Max, and that's fine. I'm looking forward to getting things actually physically done on these trails. And I hope that, when this thing passes over a bit, that we'll be able to start our work on it. And even the trail that we're doing Sunday, it's, we could do a great loop. It wouldn't take much work, but, we'd have to go through the proper authorities and all that. But I don't know if we'll ever be able to do any of that this year, but that would be a great trail down there. But no, I've been outside a lot, so enjoying this retirement home versus retirement around the world, and it's not that bad. And I'm so proud of Norwood Center now, the way what Tony and the staff, his staff, has done in making Norwood a great place.
Great. Thanks, Vic. Sue Bartlett.
Hi. I
Hello?
really don't have much. I don't have much to report on. I could put my camera on. Can you see me?
Yep.
Are you walking?
Yeah, I'm out
Or
for
you're
a
at the
walk.
cemetery?
You're right. Hey, good call. Exactly. Yeah, I just been doing walks at night, not really anything formal, but I actually did run the trail that goes from the Willett to Father Max this morning. And the guys must have done some mowing yesterday on it because all the edges were mowed down, and the area leading up to the landfill was done, but I don't think they did a path to the top, but it looked like they cleared out a lot of it. So.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that's about it. I really haven't been doing much besides the cemetery.
Well, I can vouch that I've seen you walking all over this area of the town.
Yeah, just to go places. Yeah.
Great. All right.
Okay, that's it for me.
All right. Thanks, Sue Bartlett. On the move. Lee?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Lee, and I didn't mean to have Joe jump Marguerite. I know K comes before L.
Oops.
I'm not worried.
Okay, but I
worry.
just wanted to comment while I have you guys that appreciate Marguerite's proof reading of the minutes. I know, Marguerite, you jumped in after the rest of the committee voted to approve those. So you missed a chance to add more to it. Those are already gone.
Job, Lee.
Yeah, those are already gone over to Pat to put up on the website. So, Sue, you're breathing hard. Thank you.
They look good, Lee. You're doing a great
Thank
job.
you.
I think it was the wind. I'm right by the flag. I think it was the wind.
Okay. Well, anyway, my report is pretty brief. I've been keeping a pretty low profile from being outside. I think I wanted to avoid taking any of Vic's thunder because, you know, I'm just a couple houses down from him. So, but in actuality, I've been doing a lot of other work related to the Carillon and getting some, you know, of these, you know, details cleaned up with, you know, minutes from old meetings and getting that all together. So, one thing that people might be interested in is, this is not directly trails, but it could be. Recently, I had a visit to the Carillon by John Grove, who is one of the main players of the Old Parish Cemetery volunteers. And because of COVID, virtually all of the 4th of July activities have been canceled this year. But the Old Parish Cemetery is going to be open on July 4th. And Vic, you might have some details on that too. I think it's like 10 to 3 or 4 or something like that. Just open, go up and walk through it. There won't be any tour or anything. So that was something that John was working to get going. That means John Grove. So that's all.
Yeah, I haven't got the details on that myself handy. But that would be a nice little walking event.
And Lee, you've got a little walk ahead of you this week.
Oh, Joe, thanks for reminding me. I didn't want to go future walks, but if this is future walks, yeah, I'm planning a future walk coming up, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss the Sunday group walk here in Norwood because I'm going to be probably just emerging out of one of the most iconic miles of the whole Appalachian Trail, that being in just into Maine on at Mahoosic Notch. So I'm heading up there on Thursday and plan to be up there for quite a few number of days.
Good for you.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Looking forward to hearing the results. Great. Thank you, Lee. Good luck.
Beautiful up there.
Marguerite Krupp with a K, who should be before the L's.
I wasn't going to worry about that. I don't have a whole lot to report. I haven't done a whole lot of walking outside of the neighborhood. Done a lot of that. Done a lot of gardening. I'm finding it hard to convince people to go for a walk on the trail with me. So they're all, I don't know where they are. But the only thing I can tell you is I managed to get poison ivy without even trying. Anyway, on a more serious note, I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Marie Kidd so that we can take a walk over in the lower pond area and see about the project that we've been discussing about the story walk. And that is something that's sort of back and forth and see what we can do about it. But I think it would be well worth it, especially now with the kids out of school, to start something like that in an area that's very accessible and very easy for little kids, parents with little kids to get around. And so that's sort of my futures project. Other than that, anybody wants to take a walk someplace, give me a call or send me an email or something.
And excuse me, Marguerite, not to ruin Marie Kidd's idea, but 30 Reader's Digest version, what would that entail? What's a story walk?
Oh, a story walk. Okay. What they do is take a kid's book and put up little signs at intervals in a park or something like that. We did this over the bird park, and they divide up the book to page by page, and each page is a sign or a stop on the trail, on the walk, and the kids and parents read them so that they are actually participating in a story, and then they go to the next one and they read the next page of it, and it's all very easy stuff. I mean, we're talking about things like the Very Hungry Caterpillar, for example, which is very colorful and has about 6 words per page. But it gets people out and moving, and it's a good thing for kids to be doing now that the summer is here, and they're going to be looking for things to do. So it's short. Marie was going to look into talking to the Conservation Commission and getting the appropriate permissions to do that. But I want to get together with her and walk the area, so that we can see, about how big it would be. This is to be a short book, like kids' books are. But
sure.
it's kind of a cool thing. And they, as I said, we did it at Bird Park with some success. They leave it up for a short period of time, like a couple of weeks, and then they take it down and put up another one later.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds great.
And
Sounds
if anybody knows, yeah, I think it'll be fun. And if anybody knows of anybody who has political signs that they'd like to get rid of, I thought those would be about the right size, about the right height for the kids, so that we could stick the pages on the signs as they went around.
They did it at Pinnacle in Walpole, and they had them on the trees. It was like as you walked, it was on the trees, but they were down low enough that the kids could read it. So they had the whole book on one day when I was walking Pinnacle.
I don't know Pinnacle, but I know we did it at Bird Park, and it was the same idea, except we had them on posts, little signposts as we went around.
And they didn't have a guy that was tearing them all down as you put them up.
No, they didn't.
They-
That is a
Different
more controlled environment.
Right.
Has that been a problem in that Lower Pond area? I know it was at Shattuck Park, but
No,
Yeah.
Shattuck Park is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I figured it was.
Yeah. The
Figure out
lower
who it was?
one- Not yet. If you have been in touch, or if Marie has been in touch with the Concom, I know Cheryl Doyle would be excited to help.
What Cheryl's last name is?
Doyle, Doyle.
Doyle.
She's
Okay.
She's one of the members of the Concom, but she's done a lot of work. She's actually she and Ramonda Morgan presented the pavilion project to the Community Preservation Committee, and they're going to put a pavilion down there. It hopefully will start soon, but it will be a great addition to that neighborhood. So that's
That
great.
would be at that park.
That's
Excellent,
right.
Thank you.
Right by the Butterfly Garden,
good.
and
Yeah.
Good.
Excellent.
All right,
Thank you
good.
very much.
thanks, Marguerite. Marsha.
I'll be quick since I'm in public. Anyway, I've been walking pretty much the same trails the rest of you folks have been doing. Today I was over at Endine. It was really nice because there's a lot of shaded area. I brought the dogs, of course, and they were in and out of the water. I let them in the nice moving water there. It was a little buggy, but I think that was with the humidity. But it was a nice walk today over there. Again, I've noticed in all the trails that they're green and they're really smelling good. Like it just is giving off a lot of good scents these days. I was over behind Father Max, and I walked down all the way across. What's the street I crossed by the cemetery?
Winter Street.
Yes, sorry, Winter Street, and then went up, and I did see what Sue saw, the mowing up towards the up on the hill, and I did walk up a little bit, but I told I didn't have enough time to go all the way, but it looks like the path kind of went over towards the actual area where they collect things, so it did not go up. It didn't go up, but they did go up the little hill, the one that we had all walked on when we did the watching the sunset. So they did go up that, and it definitely was wider, so it looked nice. But other than that, the other two I already mentioned, and I went to Shattuck, and I go to Shattuck a couple times a week, and I went over to the one in behind the Ellis. And I've been at DW Field. I think I mentioned it last meeting. I don't know if I did, but DW Field over in Brockton, which is beautiful, 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 and huge. It's so big, much bigger than I thought it was. I only knew it from one side, but now I've gone on it from another side, and it's beautiful. So that's fun. And I think that's about all I've been doing lately.
Okay, great. Great. Thanks, Marcia.
You're welcome.
I did see Fran Rush has joined us. Fran, welcome.
Yep. Oh, thank you.
How's everything going?
Right. It's going well, thank you. Doing a lot of walking. A little tidbit, if you add up all the mileage, if you want to call it, on our maps, there's 6.5 miles of trails on the four maps that we have. I've been trying to figure out ways to link them, maybe have the Norwood, what do you want to call it, the Emerald Necklace, trying to figure out the best way to kind of walk one to the other and make it doable.
Sure.
And took a good hike in New Hampshire. Newton, I've done a few hikes in Newton. That's about it. A lot of walking in the neighborhoods.
Good.
Route 1's a pain in the butt for that. There aren't many good places to cross.
No, we crossed around the Rotary was the safest. It has a little crossing flashing light. It has a sidewalk. It beats going down near Dean Street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I did cross at Dean about 2 weeks ago, and I'm still scarred mentally from it. That's a real challenge. So, glad you made it.
If you go down like Cedar Street, you can go under the railroad tracks on Cedar, like right next to the takeout. There's like a pathway only for walkers that you can get under the railroad tracks, so you don't have to cross the tracks.
Yeah, I was going to mention that I did start over the weekend. I started at Hawes Pool area, and I walked across the street to the Saint Lot, and I walked up Cedar Street, which is the street just across. It's near the takeout, and it pops out right across from the Venice on Washington Street. And I walked up from there. Took a left and went through Lane Drive, and then came up from Geraldine and popped out at the Ellis Dam. And it was about a 5.5 mile walk. But yeah, Fran, your idea about linking these together, it's not, so far it's not easy, but we're getting there. We did mention, I think it was before you came on, Fran, but we are going to venture down to the end of Meadow Street to the conservation area on Sunday.
Yep,
Sunday
I'll be
coming
there.
up.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe, what happens? I was just looking at the weather, and it was 60% chance of thunderstorms on Sunday. How do we tell people it's canceled?
Yeah, we'll probably, when you and I both put the notice on, we don't really have a better mechanism than Facebook, just to put it on the public space. But just if you could include some verbiage in there that we'll cancel Saturday, we'll notify of cancellation like Saturday afternoon, and we'll just have to make the call at that point. If it's still something like 60% for Sunday afternoon, then we'll probably cancel.
Should we wait until Sunday morning? Because, these pop-up showers in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think Saturday's a little early to do that.
Okay, yeah, sure, we could do that.
Okay.
Now, AMC trip notices always say, if they're going to cancel it for rain, it always says right in the notice, rain cancels. And you can put that in the announcement, at the end of the announcement of the trip.
Okay.
And also, it's a good idea if someone from the committee at least shows up at the starting point, so that when people do show up saying, well, what's a little rain? You can say, well, okay, you're on your own. Here it is. We've canceled the trip officially, but feel free to do it yourself.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's setting their expectations that if it's raining, we ain't going.
Well, rain is one thing, but thunderstorms are another.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, I agree. Well, you can say storm cancels. Let them
Mhm.
interpret it.
Yeah.
Some of us have experienced thunder and lightning recently, so.
Some of us experienced it up on top of some of the long trail, and it isn't fun.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thanks, Fran. I just had a couple of things. I was actually contacted by Mandy Kelleher. I gave Mandy actually Mandy and Steve Washburn both contacted me about the meeting tonight, so I sent them the agenda. Mandy has volunteered or wants to volunteer to help us out in any way possible. So Mandy, if you're out there, you're always welcome. Both she and Steve Washburn are aware of our walk on Sunday. I had pretty much walked on a lot of what everybody has said, so I won't go over that. One thing that's kind of intrigued me, I attended a seminar. Actually, Lee and I attended this, and I think Craig and Marguerite, you might have been there as well. The AMC Summit in January.
I really wanted to go, but I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a
One of
hold
the
of that book they put out.
Yeah, it is a good one. One of the sessions they had was to try to foster diversity on the trails, and I did include in the agenda tonight. I did include a link to a very short but a pretty interesting article that actually showed up in the AMC Outdoors magazine this month. It's a real quick summary on reaching and trying to foster diversity on the trails. One, I'm interested in it because we do have a diverse community, and we'd certainly want everybody and anybody to come out and enjoy the trails that we've got in Norwood. But the other thing, but in conjunction, Paul Halgiotis invited me earlier, I guess it was the end of last week, to walk the Saint Street lot with an outside agency that's going to hold they call it a conservation restriction, which is another layer of protection for that property to make sure that it's kept in conservation, working conservation hands and under controls, and obviously to limit or prohibit building and illegal activity on the property. But just walking around with that group, there were four people from the organization, and Paul and I walked the property, and it's a small, I think we've all been on it. Most of us have been on it. It's a 7-acre postage stamp basically, but that definitely not that it would be, but it is the perfect place for us to try to put up storyboards, to your point, Marguerite, about a storyboard type thing. Maybe some that are temporary and rotating, but others that are more permanent, but certainly trying to post information in multilingual format, just so that available to folks, and just as a way to continue to foster that. I did it back in, I guess it was back in the fall at this point, but I did attend a couple of different elementary school PTA meetings, but I attended the Balch School, and they were excited at that possibility of the Saint Street lot. But they were equally excited to try to, increase the diversity and increase the outreach to the diversity of the community. So just food for thought. Maybe at some point in some future meeting, we can circle back and touch base on that. We do want to make sure, I talked to Travis Foley about this as well, but we do want to improve the signage on the first of all, we want to bring signage, and secondly, we want to improve the signage to make it more open and accessible. So
Here's a thought for you. if we want to put it up and say English and Spanish, when the high school gets back into session, perhaps we could get maybe an intermediate level Spanish class to translate the signs for us.
Oh yeah,
Community,
yeah, that's
community
a
involvement.
great. Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll connect up with them. Before you know it, it will be September, so I'm sure they'd welcome the chance to do that. Yeah, it's not even July yet, and I'm already blowing past these summer.
Well, you notice how short the days are now.
Yeah, they are getting shorter.
Yeah,
A minute a
Yeah.
day.
That's all I had. Lee, you have one more comment?
Yeah, I think I just want to dovetail on what you basically have been talking about, Joe, and to remind all the committee members that are on, and that is that we should make sure we reinforce our abilities to do great outreach to all the community, and especially communities that do need it, like various elements in our town that we know that could benefit from the information that we're promoting, particularly maps, and also be aware that even though we've talked about a lot of issues, new people are always listening in, and that we need to be mindful that get the information, again, basic information out to everybody, welcoming new people into our meetings, and that everybody has a voice to contribute, particularly with the neighborhoods like around St. Street lots, because it's going to be they're going to basically be the stewards of that new property, and they'll be the ones that benefit most from it. So I just wanted to reinforce that, Joe. And then I also wanted to. This is a whole different turn, and that is to come back to the Conservation Commission and the conservation properties, and also to shout out to Al Getz, who is recently retiring. Well, it will be retiring at the end of this month. So we're going to lose a great, resource, a great font of information. I believe Al is the one and only conservation commissioner that the town has ever had. I know he lives in Walpole. He's done a lot of conservation work. He's on the Conservation Commission in Walpole as well. There's a trail actually named after Al in Walpole, and he's also worked with an awful lot of our scouts and doing their Eagle projects. So he has been somebody that I admired from the first time I met him, and I know people have to retire at some point in their careers, and I'm just sorry to see him go. So big shout out to Al.
Yeah.
Is there something we can do for Al to give him a good send off, or at least a letter of thanks and congratulations?
Yeah, excellent idea. Lee, I know you're out of pocket for the next week or so, but we'll draft something up and circulate it. If anybody wants to contribute, I don't know how many people have come in contact with Al, but he's certainly a wealth of information. And every time I talk to him, I said, I need to schedule another time to talk to him, because every time you talk to him. But yeah, great idea, Marguerite. We will put together a letter, and I think with Sue Bartlett's help, we have some Trails Advisory Committee letterhead, so we'll make it official.
Excellent.
Great idea.
So, Sue Bartlett, remind us if you're still.
She's still on.
You're still walking around. Sue, what's the what's the email address people can use for us?
Trails@norwoodma.gov.
I'm sorry, I was writing real slowly. Could you say that again?
Trails@norwoodma.gov.
All right, perfect. And that anyone can send any of the emails. That email address lands on three of our inboxes. So we'll be sure to respond as quickly as possible. Questions, suggestions, offers to volunteer, donations are always welcome. But any feedback is good feedback. So, so we're gonna meet 3 p.m. weather permitting, Sunday, the 28th at the Prescott School. We'll spend about an hour and a half, and unless anybody has anything else to offer, then I think we're good to go.
Joe, just one question that I found in the last couple of weeks, that posting in Trails on Norwood Now is a great publicity avenue for us.
Okay.
People read
Great.
Norwood Now, and I got some great comments, as you have too, about when you post pictures on your walk in the trails. So it's a great avenue for us for publicity and new people.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Okay, so our next meeting,
Where's your masks?
oops. That was not a meeting. That was not a condoned meeting.
Right.
All right, so our next, so other than June 28th, our next official committee meetings are Tuesday, the 14th of July, and Tuesday, the 28th of July. And we will post an agenda on both of those. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
So move.
So move, Marguerite. Vic,
Yep.
thank you for seconding. All right, one and all, appreciate it. Thanks very much, and
Nice.
and be
Okay.
careful out
Thank
there.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Very good.